Good Thursday morning. Thanks for joining us here on Kare 11 News Now. I'm Alicia Lewis. We're live in our nation's capital this morning, where lawmakers are scrambling to fund the Department of Homeland Security. This as millions are preparing to take off for spring break and prepare for long wait times at airports across the country. New this morning, there's new back and forth over what Republicans and Democrats will agree to reopen the department. We have team coverage this morning, starting with Alice Barr in D.C.
Hi there. Testifying on Capitol Hill, the acting TSA administrator said some TSA workers have been evicted, are losing cars and child care while defaulting on loans and draining retirement savings, all painting a clear picture for why so many are calling out to work other paid jobs. This morning, record-long security lines at some of the nation's busiest airports.
We were at the airport for 9 hours yesterday and still didn't make our flights.
Facing a new holdup as lawmakers clash over whether to restore TSA worker pay without addressing the immigration enforcement reforms Democrats have been demanding for weeks. President Trump slamming the opposing party.
They want to create chaos. It's all they're good at, creating chaos.
Republicans thought they had a deal to separate money for ICE enforcement while funding the rest of the Department of Homeland Security now. But Democrats say they won't move forward without guaranteed ICE reforms and thought negotiations were making progress.
We thought there had been some progress. But then Republicans sent us their offer yesterday and contained none of what had been talked about. None of the reforms we had been discussing.
Republicans quickly swatting down Democrats' counteroffer to restore funding with ICE changes like body cameras and no masks. President Trump saying he may bring in the National Guard to join ICE at airports in trying to move lines along. As the acting TSA administrator told lawmakers on Capitol Hill, they may need to close smaller airports without enough officers on hand, noting if they miss another paycheck this Friday.
We will have reached nearly $1 billion in missed paychecks. This level of disruption is unprecedented and unacceptable and significantly undermines the security of U.S. transportation systems.
That serious warning underscoring the travel mess. And it's not just TSA. A Coast Guard admiral testified that the Homeland Security shutdown is eroding mission readiness for upcoming events like the FIFA World Cup and preventing paying utility bills for critical infrastructure. Lawmakers are under pressure to figure this out before boarding any planes for a 2-week recess tomorrow. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Here at MSP, travelers have not seen the same hours-long wait times that travelers at other airports across the country have seen since this DHS shutdown began last month. I'll show you quickly behind me here. We're in Terminal 1 this morning. This is the South Security checkpoint. About 30 minutes ago, the wait was closer to 35-40 minutes. Now you're seeing that it's less than 20 minutes, and that line, if you were tuning in around 6 a.m., has definitely gotten shorter. So that is a good sign. The Delta Agent Assistant bag drop lines are getting shorter as well. Now, TSA leadership right now is warning that the situation at airports across the country could get worse the longer that this shutdown goes on. The agency's top official calling this shutdown unprecedented and unacceptable, telling lawmakers that it's already led to the longest wait times in TSA history and nearly $1 billion in missed paychecks for workers. Now, at the same time, efforts to end the shutdown are going nowhere. Ahead of last night's vote, Senate Democrats proposed a short-term funding deal tied to changes in immigration enforcement, but Republicans quickly rejected it, calling it, quote, not even close to real. Now, also of note, Senate Majority Leader John Thune says that he will continue to hold votes to be able to advance the GOP's proposal. And he also says that he has not made a final decision about whether or not senators will leave for their 2-week recess, which they are supposed to do at the end of this week. But given that they still have not reached a vote and the impacts of this shutdown are only growing worse by the day, I think it is very possible that lawmakers could stay until they can get the situation figured out. Back to you.
Megan, thank you. Well, this weekend, a massive No Kings protest is happening in the Twin Cities, but some protesters are starting things early with a demonstration planned for tonight. Our Audrey Russo is in Minneapolis with the details.
Yeah, that No Kings messaging that we're going to see this weekend is actually going to start tonight during rush hour. What you're going to see are folks lining overpasses over Interstate 35. They're going to be doing this from Duluth, Minnesota, all the way down to the southern Texas border, all ahead of what's to come in St. Paul this weekend.
We are the flagship for the nation, so we're pretty excited. It takes the village to have a rally.
Local organizers say Saturday's No Kings rally at 2 is expected to draw as many as 100,000 people. There will be 3 kickoff rallies ahead of time at Harriet Island, St. Paul College, and the Western Sculpture Park. St. Paul police tell us they'll have officers at each event and that they'll assist State Patrol once everyone gets to the Capitol for the main program. Now, they're tentatively closing Wabasha Street from Harriet Island to the Capitol grounds around 11:45 Saturday morning. They also plan to close John Ireland Boulevard up to Marion Street and the 12th Street Bridge around St. Paul College around that same time. Now, some big names are slated for Saturday's program, including Joan Baez, Bruce Springsteen, Senator Bernie Sanders. This is going to be the 3rd No Kings rally held in the Metro this year, and it is expected to be the largest one. Back to you.
Audrey, thank you. A heads up for Minneapolis drivers. Today at noon, the Sunrise Movement Twin Cities organization is holding a traffic jam protest outside of the Whipple Federal Building. Organizers are asking people to drive around slowly with their hazards on to stop ICE agents from leaving or entering the building. They say the protest is an act of mass non-cooperation to show how much power people truly have. This morning, there's a new council documenting the impacts of Operation Metro Surge. Governor Tim Walz signed an executive order establishing this group. Now, the council will collect testimony and data on what happened during the operation to create a public record. It will include up to 15 members and work with the nonprofit Advocates for Human Rights to gather accounts and hold public meetings. The governor says the council will not have a law enforcement role and won't interfere with any ongoing investigations. Well, this morning, we're hearing from the family of Liam Ramos, the 5-year-old boy who became one of the faces of the ICE crackdown here in Minneapolis when federal agents detained him and his father. And it was just last week a judge ordered them to be deported. The family is now appealing that decision. NPR sat down with Liam's dad about how the family is doing. Take a listen.
Es como que todavía le asusta salir a la calle, no se siente seguro. Ni nos hace preguntas y o cuando lo dejamos en la escuela nos dice que vayamos a la casa con cuidado, que veamos que no haya policías, que veamos que no haya migración.
Our news partners NPR sat down with Liam Ramos's dad, Adrian Conejo Arias. The two were detained by ICE back in January and released after 10 days, but a judge has since ordered the family of 4 to be sent back to their home country of Ecuador. They're appealing the decision.
Bueno, pues lo que yo me imagino es ya tener una vida tranquila, viviendo con mis hijos y el bebé que está por llegar junto a mi esposa, hacer nuestras actividades como siempre, tratar de poder trabajar, superarnos.
Other news this morning, we're getting a new look at new evidence from the 2024 shooting that killed 3 Burnsville first responders. The BCA released these crime scene photos showing the scale of the shooting as well as the weapons and ammunition police found after the gunman, Shannon Gooden, took his own life. The evidence also includes footage of his girlfriend who pleaded guilty to buying the guns, along with videos he shared showing off those weapons and teaching his kids about them. The victims' families released a joint statement asking people and the media not to share the disturbing body camera videos, and we're honoring that request. This morning, 11-year-old Victor Greenewalt is the 2026 Young Hero Award recipient. This is video of him receiving that honor from the Congressional Medal of Honor Society just last night. He was recognized for his actions during the deadly school shooting last summer at Annunciation Catholic School. Weston Halsey recalled sitting just seats away from a stained glass window when gunfire erupted. He says his friend Victor saved his life by shielding him from gunfire. That day, Molly Merkel's 8-year-old son, Fletcher Merkel, was killed in the gunfire. Fletcher had been sitting on the other side of Victor in the pew. She reacted to this honor.
He protected Weston, and we are so incredibly grateful and joyful that so many kids were saved because of the actions of children and adults that were present.
Just heartbreaking. Victor's family says they're honored he's being recognized, saying that he represents the untold stories of the brave actions taken by many children and adults that day. They say they'll, quote, continue moving our feet to find ways to keep kids safe. Well, stick with us. More news and weather is coming up after the break.